bringing you the best in country and Irish music. This is your station, irishcountrymusicradio.com.
There you have it. That is, of course, Isla Grant and Fiddle on the Wall. And would you believe it? She's not just fiddling on the wall, she is also on the phone. And Isla Grant, how are you? And yeah, well, hold on. I lost you there for a split second. Sorry, Isla. Now you're back to me. Hello there, Isla.
Back again?
Oh, yeah, I'm back again, you see. I ran off, you see, to stick on the kettle because we're having our fireside chat. And I said, I'll run off and I'll put on the kettle real quick. So now I have it on, you see, and all the listeners, we can all have a cup of tea, something like Daniel above in Kilcastle. But
there's nothing wrong with a good cup of tea.
There's surely definitely nothing wrong with a good cup. Of course, like, you're not from Kilcastle or anywhere like it. You're on the far side of the shall we say, the Irish Sea. Would it be the Irish Sea, actually? You're over in Scotland, I think. Originally, that was where you were from, wasn't it, Isla?
Yes, down near, I suppose the nearest would be Stranraer, to where my parents farmed, but I don't even remember living down there because we moved to the borders in Scotland, and so it's the Scottish borders has become home there, and the Highlands of Scotland. I've got very much my dad's heart when it comes to the Highlands. He was a Highlander, and that's why there's been so many songs written about Scotland.
Well, Scotland is a beautiful country. I've only been over once or twice in my time, and I just, like, it's a fascinating place. I mean, like, it's a beautiful place, full stop, like, you know, I mean, there's
especially whenever you go up to the Highlands, and there's an area called Applecross, and it's just stunning. Even although I have seen it so many times, it doesn't matter when I go back, and I keep saying to Al, you know, every corner you go round, we're blessed with the scenery that's there. And it's just, you can tell God's hand's been put on it because it's just amazing.
Yeah, it's like seeing it for the first time again every time you see it.
It is, exactly. And of course with the different weather patterns and everything else, the colours change, and it's just, well, I just love it. Can you tell?
Well, I don't know now. You're very subtle in the way you describe it. So I'd say, I might guess that you might like it a little small, little tiny bit, hardly worth talking.
I think I'm getting used to it, Seamus.
So, but anyway, you say then that you moved to the borders and whatnot, and at what age were you when that happened, or when you moved? Like you say, you don't remember a whole lot about it, so you must have been very young.
I don't remember down the Stranraer side. I still have lots of relatives down there, but I think we moved up here. Well, I was about 4 years old, and went to school in the borders, and as I said, it's been home ever since, and I was brought up on the farm. I used to go out and help my dad. We had about 500 milking cows.
500?
And I used to go out, and before I went to school in the morning, and help him with the milking, and I was very close to my father. And so it was a wonderful, wonderful life, and gave me this feeling I have for the love of animals now. It was just a fantastic upbringing.
I presume it wasn't hand milked now that the cows were.
Oh no! It was the milking machines, Alpha Laval milking machines. That's what it was.
All right, because I remember even as a chap myself, my father using, and even my mother as well, milking the cows by hand, and I milked 1 or 2 cows myself by hand, and I tell you, you wouldn't want to be setting into 500 of them in the morning.
Well, I don't think so. I'm not quite old enough to remember the cattle being milked by hand, but I certainly wouldn't have been wanting to milk 500 of them, Seamus.
But you decided then that you weren't going to stay as a dairy dairy farmer. And at what stage or when did you discover that you were able to sing and that you could put pen to paper?
First time I ever sang on a stage, I was 8 years old.
Wow.
And it was for the church. The church was putting on a concert, and my mum dressed me up in my kilt and my frilly blouse, and I went on stage and sang a Gordon for Me and the Northern Lights of Old Aberdeen. And that was the first time I ever stood on a stage. And of course, the next time I was about 13 years old when I started going out and singing in the folk clubs. But I was about 15 when I really started to take it seriously. And I learned guitar when I was 8. I started learning guitar when I was 8. And a little bit of accordion, but that never really came to much. It was guitar and banjo that I was interested in. But that's where it all started, in the folk clubs and working with wonderful people like the Dubliners when they used to come over to Scotland to the folk clubs. The last time I saw them was in Carnegie Hall, but that's not America. It was Carnegie Hall in Dunfermline in Fife in Scotland. And they were a lovely bunch of lads. They were very respectful to this wee 14-year-old that was going on just with a guitar that was nearly bigger than me. But they were a lovely bunch of guys, as was the Fury boys, Eddie and Finbar Fury. I actually saw Finbar, it must be about, 10 years ago in the studio. I went in to do a recording in Dublin with Daniel O'Donnell, and Finbar was standing in the green room, and the years just floated past. And so I had a wonderful, wonderful apprenticeship, and worked, of course, with the wonderful Billy Connolly. But before he was a great musician, he was a banjo player in a little folk band called the Humble Bums. And he was very, very special. So I was very, very fortunate that I had a great apprenticeship in the business, Seamus.
Yeah, and like when you mentioned Billy Connolly there, he is a great exponent of Scottish humour, isn't he? He was always a funny man. Yeah.
In the band and everything else. He was always telling jokes, and he used to come on the phone to me, and Mum would say, "Oh, it's Billy again," and he could be on the phone for 45 minutes, and you would never even say a word, because he was telling jokes or telling stories, and it was just such a phenomenal artist. Yeah. And of course he's not so well now, but we wish him all the best. He deserves everything that's good.
Yeah, no, I've seen. I mean, I've seen live now. Of course, his language at times can be a little bit, shall we say, choice. But
but you know, he was never like that when I was going around him. The language thing started years and years after that, when he was in the business, and not even at the start of his comedy tours, when he done the Big Banana tour. If there was 2 swear words all night, that's all it would be. Yeah. It was just later on when I suppose the new comedians were coming out and they were using it. But Billy used it in a different way. He used it as part of the language of the time, if you like. But a special man, and the chorus as well was very, very special. Maybe your listeners don't, are maybe not known with the Corries, but they were a duo over here in Scotland, and they were huge. And Roy Williamson wrote Flower of Scotland. God love him, he never got to actually see how popular it became, because he had passed before the rugby players all started singing it. But I remember doing many shows with them. They were just such nice people in the business to start off with. I couldn't have picked a better bunch of artists or musicians.
Yeah. No, I mean, it was a scene way back. I mean, back then, in that time, it has changed. The scene has changed a lot. I'd say you've noticed that the scene has changed a lot since the folk.
Most definitely. I mean, I was only up until I was in my, I suppose, middle 20s. I was working mainly in the folk scene and in the jazz scene. I was very much into traditional jazz.
Wow. Yeah.
And my oldest brother played clarinet. He had his own jazz band, and his big pals were Acker Bilk and Chris Barber, who sadly passed last week. Yeah. Kenny Ball, and my brother was a lot older than me, so these musicians would sometimes come and stay at my mum and dad's at the farmhouse, and I would step over them sometime on the lie-low beds in the morning, getting ready to go to school. So I was brought up with jazz and folk.
Yeah.
But I think the artists and the musicians, they had a sort of a huge respect for each other, Seamus.
Yeah.
And I think the music business has completely changed to what it was in those days.
Yeah, it's become more competitive as such, like, yeah. Would it be more competitive then that you would think it would be?
No, people would, I mean, I've been at different jazz nights, and in fact, one night comes to mind, it was in Galashiels, in the Volunteer Hall in Galashiels, which isn't too far away from here. But my brother was going along because Acker Bilk was playing.
Yeah.
And so we went along, and I went up, and of course Acker put the bowler hat on me. I must have looked a real sight. But Kenny Ball had been playing in one of the towns in the Borders that same night. And when they finished, they came along to Galashiels, and they just wandered up onto the stage, the whole lot of them, and started jamming along with Bilk.
Wow.
And I mean, you don't see that anymore.
No.
You know, I don't know what's happened, but you just don't see. Maybe it became too much that record companies and everything else were pushing all the time. I don't know, but certainly I found that it changed.
Yeah, there isn't it isn't as free and easy as nearly too professional. Would that be the way?
That's it, and I think it's the people behind the artists rather than the artists themselves, Seamus.
Yeah.
I think that there's this commercial thing going on all the time. Make as much money out of the artist as you can.
Yeah.
And I think that maybe changed a whole lot of it as well.
Yeah, because musicians, like the great musicians, all love to just get in beside. I mean, if you're a good guitarist, I mean, you just want to be in beside a good keyboard player, good bass player, drummer, whatever. You just like to be in with someone of quality and to just, jam, as you say. Beside them.
That's right. I mean, it was their love was the music. I suppose if you go way back to the Hank Williams in the country music scene, the Hank Williams Senior, and the people that were around at that time, Marty Robbins, Haggard, Willie Nelson, they wanted to go out there and take their music to the people. Some nights they didn't even get paid, but they were always out the next night performing again, because the music was their soul. That's all they wanted to do. And I mean, when you think of the songs that Hank Williams wrote, Seamus, I mean, his whole life was in those songs.
And when it comes to, when you mention about Hank and the songwriting, like, I mean, you're no mean one on the old pen yourself, as they say around here.
Well, I think it's about 250 I've written so far.
Wow. My God, yeah. And how, when did you first, was it with the like of Hank Williams and the like of those artists and songwriters inspire you to take up the pen, or how did you write your first song?
There was only one man that inspired me to songwrite, and that was Merrill Haggard.
Oh, yeah.
And I found that Merrill was a truthful writer. He wrote about things that had happened to him or to people he knew. And he had a soulfulness about him, but there was an honesty about him. And he's my favourite artist of all time. And I remember someone at one of the BBC stations over here had sent him an Isla Grant album.
Yeah.
to surprise me, because they got him on the show by phone from America to wish me happy birthday. I was doing an interview at BBC Studios.
Yeah.
And I nearly fell through the floor. And he said, Isla, I've listened to the album. You have something in your voice that's very, very special. He says, I would love to sometime for us to catch up and do a duet together. My biggest regret is that I never ever got to do it, of course. But
wow, yeah.
He was the reason, and he knew it. He knew that he was the reason for me to start songwriting. And I kind of hope that the songs that I'm writing, that there's a truthfulness in them as well. I mean, they're nearly all about people I've known or circumstances that's happened to me. So they're all stories. And I kind of hope that, I'll never be a Merle Haggard, but I kind of hope I'm on that right track for it.
Yeah, well, you were definitely using the right inspiration when you were going with Merle Haggard anyway. He's as you
fantastic,
say.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. But you played, I think you played Fiddle on the Wall there before we started the chat.
Fiddle on the Wall, yeah, did.
And that's just a way of saying that that's a truthful song, because that fiddle is now hanging in our hallway, but that was my grandpa's fiddle.
Wow. And
he used to take the fiddle down when I used to go and visit, and he'd play a few tunes on the fiddle. He was a great fiddle player. But that's where it came from. He used to have it hanging on the wall, and he would take the fiddle down and do a few tunes, and now it's hanging on Isla and Al's hall wall.
Wow.
But I write about things that happened,
Yeah, and would they, like you mentioned your grandfather there, being a fiddle player, and would there have been music in your background? Well, my grandfather, Grandpa Bone, was he had a very special feel for fiddle, and his two sons, my two uncles, were the same. They both played fiddle, and on my father's side, that was my mum's side. On my father's side, my father was a pipe major, Seamus. He was pipe major of a pipe band. Yeah.
And he was from a family of 12. One daughter, 11 sons, and all the sons played the pipes.
Wow.
It was fantastic, because they used to come, maybe 4 or 5 of them would come to visit at Mum and Dad's.
Yeah. And
my dad would take them out into the byre or into the cattle shed, and they would practice in there, and the sound was, even yet, if I hear a pipe band, I'm in floods of tears. It's just, I'm gone. But, so that there was a lot of music around me all the time. Both my brothers were so much older than me. My oldest brother, as I said, played guitar and played clarinet. My younger brother played accordion. So there was always music around the house.
Yeah, and just a quick one. He said that there was 12 lads, or 12 in the family, and there was 11 lads. Did the girl, did she play any music? Because
she didn't.
She didn't?
That was the strange thing. Auntie Jean never played an instrument in her life.
Wow, yeah.
It was very, very strange, but all the boys were, they were all full of music.
Yeah. And they were a pipe band on their own, sure. How many is usually in a pipe band? You know what I mean? Sure, if you have 11 there, sure, you have...
They were nearly a pipe band on their own.
Yeah, that's what I mean, yeah.
They were all in different bands, because they lived, one of my uncles lived in Edinburgh, there was one in Aberdeen, there was one in Dundee, and there was one in Stirling, so they were dotted all over Scotland. But you see, they were from Highland. As I said, I have 3 clans in my family, Seamus. The Grant, obviously.
Yeah.
It is a family name.
Yeah.
Not my married name, it's a family name. And I had Mackay, that was another clan, and the McPherson. But the Grant, my great-grandfather, was the chieftain of the Grant clan.
Yeah.
So I think there's Irish blood in me as well, I have a great-great-great-grandmother that, as far as I know, is buried in, Glengariff.
Oh, right, Glengariff, yeah.
Yes. And so I remember someone said we were doing a concert one night, and I had a bit of a tussle with one of the people that was in the theatre, and I always remember one of the musicians saying, "I wouldn't tangle with Isla. She's not only got Scottish blood in her, she's got Irish blood, so don't tangle with her." So, yeah, that's me rambling on here.
No, but you mentioned there about the clans and the chieftain, of the clan. Like, what did that entail, Isla? This is just after piquing my interest here. You know, I know we're moving away from the music for a little bit.
Well, the chieftain of the clan, all of the grants would meet up, but there was the head of the family, if you like.
Yeah.
Like Rob Roy McGregor was the head of the McGregor clan. Yeah. All the clans, the Campbells, the MacDonalds, they all had a chieftain.
Yeah.
And if there was any way back, I mean, I'm talking about centuries back again.
Yeah.
But if there was trouble at all, then the clans would gather and have a meeting as to see as how they were going to, like, so when the Redcoats or that came up to try and take their land, there would be so many of the clans would get together to fight to hold on to their land.
Yeah.
So, but it was the chieftains that made the decision. It was the chieftains that had the meetings. So, like a head of a family, Seamus.
Yeah, only a big extended sort of a family. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, massive.
Yeah. And did you then you were talking about a kilt earlier on as well? Would you have to wear a certain, like, I mean, would your clan, or what way would your clan work as regards to?
Well, every
kilt?
clan has its own tartan.
Yeah.
But I was honoured. It'll be about 12 years ago. I got a letter one day from the Scottish Tartan Heritage Association.
Right.
And the letter said, Isla, we would like to really invite me, if you like, to come and meet, and we're going to design and register a brand new tartan. And because you're an ambassador for Scotland, we would like to call it the Isla Grant tartan. So I have my own tartan. Al was married in that tartan. My 3 sons have all the kilts in that tartan. So I was very, very honoured.
Wow, God, geez, that's amazing. You know, I mean, it's
not many people know that, but yes, there is an Isla Grant tartan out here.
Yeah. Now, and I'm sure. Have you any plans to merchandise the tartan or anything, Isla?
I haven't done it. I mean, a lot of people had said I'd once made scarves. I got some lovely scarves made, and the company that done them embossed them in gold thread with Isla Grant on it. And I think it was something like 500. I think I got done to start with.
Yeah.
And they were gone in a matter of 3 or 4 months.
Wow.
And I thought, well, I can't keep on getting this because I was touring most of the time. And so I didn't, but people have asked for waistcoats in it, they've asked for skirts in it, but I never ever went into it in a big way. I suppose because it was mine, it's precious. You know, my family's all got it.
Yeah, you don't want to make it
so it's
tacky
kind
as such.
Private thing, you know?
Yeah. What? Now, well, we're after moving away from the music, but we'll move back to the music for another minute, because when did you write your first song, Isla? Like, I mean, because along with being a fashion designer now as such, and
no, well, I mean, I dabbled in poetry when I was 12 years old.
Right.
I was always very interested in writing and was very lucky to get some of my stuff actually published in papers and that here in the Borders. And I started writing just little things. And when my mum died, I wrote the song Mother, of course.
Right.
But it took me years and years after she died before I could write it.
Yeah.
But my dad died when I was 19, and that that just absolutely, it floored me, Seamus. I was very much my dad's girl. I used to show I had 14 bulls to look after on the farm, Herefords, and him and I worked together with the cattle, and it was just such a huge hole appeared in my life when he died.
Yeah, that does happen, yeah.
And it's never really gone. That feeling's never gone. In fact, I wrote a song just the other week there, in memory again of my mum and dad.
Yeah.
During lockdown, I started thinking about, you know, how people are missing loved ones. There's been so many has passed with this horrible COVID, and really thinking about how they must be feeling at this time, at Christmas especially, when they weren't there for them anymore.
Yeah, yeah.
And you know, I have such a deep feeling for these people that are losing family to this horrible virus that can't even go in and see them, Seamus. They can't even go in and give them a hug.
Yeah, it's an awful situation. Like, meaning.
Oh, I mean, it's just terrible. But so that's there's quite a lot of words coming out of what's been happening. But it started dabbling, as I said, way back, and then I got a Merle Haggard album, and that's when I really started taking it seriously. I mean, Cottage in the Country was written in 10 minutes.
10 minutes?
Mother's Chair was written, less than half an hour.
Wow.
And it's just, I don't call it that, I don't think it's anything special. I think it's something that's been given to me. Yeah. I have a great faith, and I really believe that this gift was given to me, and I just hope I'm the right way, Seamus, you know?
Yeah. And do you find like that the words and music just come into your head then? Like, I mean, it's coming, as you say.
They absolutely do. It can happen at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'll get all these words going around in my head, and I just have to get up and write them down, lift the guitar and go and put them down, get them recorded, just me and the guitar, and then I'll go back. Then I can get to sleep. But it won't. The words won't leave me until I go and get them written down.
Yeah, they're stuck in your head until they're down on paper.
They're stuck there until I put them down on paper.
Yeah, and so
I always just say, well, it's what I do. You know, it's been something given to me, and I'm only very, very grateful that so many lovely people, especially over in Ireland, comes to the concerts to listen to the songs and hear where they came from. Scotland's my first home, but Ireland's my second home. And I tell people all over the world, when I'm in Australia, Canada, New Zealand, Sri Lanka, I always say, you know, I have my home's in Scotland, but my second home's in Ireland.
Yeah, and when when you're writing as well, do the words and the music come together? Or
comes together, Seamus. Always comes together.
Yeah, because I mean I know because I'm always fascinated by songwriting as such, and you see, say if you look at it, Elton John was always music as such that he wrote, and Bernie Taupin the lyrics as such, and then you have some artists and they say that's unusual. Usually the words will come first or the music will come first, and the words are filled in after. But you find then that it's all in the one.
It all comes together. I always remember when I first went over to Ireland, I opened a show some nights for Johnny McAvoy, who became a very, very dear friend. And, you know, I said to him he says, isn't it great, you know, the two songwriters can sit here and, you know, we can talk about things and where the words comes from and everything else. And I went back home from that tour and I wrote Partners in Rhyme. That was written for Johnny McAvoy and myself.
Oh, right, yeah.
And because we were partners in rhyme, because we had sat down and talked about it, and we had some fantastic nights together, great nights together. And so that's where Partners in Rhyme came from.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been recorded by many people since. I mean, Daniel done the duet with me with the Partners. Al's done it with me. There's been so many people has recorded it, but that's where the song came from.
Yeah, and you mentioned Al there, and how him being a musician as well. Did you meet on the road, or what way did that come about?
We met through. He had his own country band, and I had my own folk band, and we met, and we just clicked, and we amalgamated the two bands together and made it work. And then, of course, the songwriting took off. But he's always there with me. I mean, he does his own tours as well, the Jim Reeves tribute shows. In fact, he's over in Ireland this November, hopefully. Doing his Jim Reeves tribute shows. And so he has his own shows. I'm always there with him in the background, playing guitar or doing a couple of songs. And then when I'm out on the road, he's always there playing upright bass, and he'll do a couple of songs. So we're very much 24 hours together.
You'd want to get on well
24/7 together. It's how we like it. We're both so interested in music.
Yeah, but when you say 24 hours of the day together, you'd really want to get on well.
Oh, well, we do. I mean, he's my best pal.
Yeah.
He's my best pal. He's my best buddy. And, of course, I have another buddy now, of course, Glenn Flynn, that's on stage with me. He's been there for nearly 18 years with me.
Yeah, Glenn is a kind of he's part of the clan now as well. He's part of the Grant clan, is he?
Oh, he's part of the clan, most definitely. He is.
Will we be seeing him going around now with the Isla Grant tartan kilt on him?
Well, I don't know if he'd ever wear the kilt. I have often said, when you're sitting at the steel guitar, you should maybe be wearing a kilt, but no, he never took me up on it.
No, that could be a bit dangerous if you're sitting.
I think it just might be.
He'd want to have that
kilt. He's a great guy, and he's my other buddy.
Yeah. No, I'm just thinking now he'd want to make sure that the kilt was well down below the knees there now.
Down to the ankles, I think, Seamus.
There could be a few members of the constabulary coming in there with arrest warrants.
We might even get a bigger audience. Who would know?
That could happen, all right. That could happen. Now, of course, you'd be well known for kind of having, explain, much like you mentioned Johnny McAvoy, that you like to give a little bit of background to the songs when you're on the stage before you sing.
Oh, I more or less, a lot of people know where the songs came from now anyway, because some of their favourites are out there, like It's a Dream Come True, which I wrote for the audience for when I went back. I was off the road for 5 years due to a really serious car accident. And I was told, the specialist told me I'd never go back up singing again. So I wrote the song, It's a Dream Come True, for the audiences that came back out to see me after we got back on stage again. So I don't need to tell that story anymore, because the audiences more or less all know it. They know You're the Best Friend that Mike Denver had a big hit with. That was written for Al. Right. I wrote that because he is the best friend. So there's a lot of them. Sweet Baby Mine was written about my 3 sons. So I like to tell, especially if I'm abroad, where Ireland, I've been going over there now for 21 years. So they mainly know where the songs are, what they're about. But when you go to the likes of Sri Lanka or Australia, New Zealand or Canada, the audiences are craving to know why I wrote the song, what it's about. And so, yeah, it's a story. It's a storytelling concert.
Yeah, but you see, that's it, you see. There's something about the idea that, you wonder where or how did that song come about. And it's great to have the artist actually just say, well, this is what happened, this is about so-and-so, or about such a situation that happened to me, or to happen to someone belonging to me, or someone I knew. It's great to get that bit.
I'm very lucky, Seamus, that, yes, I write the songs, but that I'm able to actually go out and sing those songs and tell the people where they came from, because a lot of songwriters, they're not able to go out and actually perform the songs. So I'm very lucky in that way that I can go out and let people know where they came from.
Yeah, because as you say, like, I mean, there are a lot of the great songwriters, and they didn't have the confidence to go up on the stage, or they didn't have the voice or whatever, and they
although they love to write, but they're not able to go out and actually perform them. So another artist actually singing that song doesn't really know where it came from.
Yeah, they can't get the feel of it as such, like, you know.
So I'm very lucky. I'm a very lucky lady.
Well, the audience are very lucky to have you as well. So, and actually, yeah, you're a very popular lady, because I've a load of different listeners that are sending in messages to say hello to you. I mean,
that's lovely, Seamus.
Oh, yeah. Even, would you believe, as far away as New Brunswick over there in Canada, Lev and Gloria Jackman, they've been waiting. It was actually them who were putting pressure on me to, why don't you have Isla Grant on? Why don't you have Isla? No.
Well, God love them. Thank you so much for getting me on with Seamus.
No, Lev and Gloria, they're great listeners to the station anyway. And then Anne Hartnett said to say hello to you. She's
hi Anne. Yes, a lovely fan that we've got. She's a real good friend and fan. You take care of yourself, Anne. Keep safe.
Yeah, she said to say hello to yourself and Al, and she's missing the shows as well. So, and then Marion and James Duffy, they're up there in Sligo, and they said to say hello to you. They're big fans.
Hi
as well.
there.
Yeah, and Maureen Burke is there in Leitrim, and she said to say hello. And
that's fantastic. Well, I hope we can see them. I'm over there with my own show in March next year. Because this year I've obviously had to get rescheduled. But I hope we can meet up with these lovely people and come up and say hello to us.
Oh, definitely. And Ron Hinsley is actually over there in Wolverhampton in England. And he's down in the bottom end of as the fellow says, if you got into the car, you'd nearly be down there in a couple of days to him, Isla.
Well, if we could travel, but we're not allowed to travel outside Scotland at the minute.
No. And actually still in England is Michelle Orr is there as well. Michelle, she's there.
Hi,
in
Michelle.
Bedford. Yeah. And Noelle Kelly says to say hello to you. She's been looking forward to the interview as well.
Hi, Noelle. Hope you're keeping safe, my dear.
And then Patsy Hayes is listening in there as well. He's from Wexford in the county of, I should say the county of Wexford in Ireland. I'm getting a little bit flustered here as a fellow.
Yeah, I love doing it. I do the
Riverside
Ennis
Park.
Corsi in Wexford. I always have a fantastic night. Lovely people.
Yeah, the Riverside. Would you believe it?
The Riverside, that's it.
Yeah, because
we've had some fantastic nights down there.
Well, would you believe that's only about 12 miles away from me? Next time you're in now, we'll definitely have to have a catch-up.
Well, if you don't come along and see it and see the show with us, I'll be asking questions, Seamus.
Yeah. And as the boys were saying, that you have Scottish blood and Irish blood in you, so I wouldn't want
Exactly, just you behave yourself.
I wouldn't want to get on the wrong side of that anyway, you know. And Nicola Arnold is listening in as well. Nicola, and she has the family there, Sonny and Kaylee and Aoife, and of course Ian, Minnie Gigi.
Oh, a big hello to all of you.
Yeah, and we have actually a few of the presenters on the station are listening in here as well. And Kristen Kelly is listening in. He's one of our new presenters now. He's a new sex symbol of the station.
Good luck, and I hope you're enjoying your work, my dear, and bringing lots of happiness to everyone out there.
And Peter Ryle and Danny Boyle, The two boys.
Yeah, hi Peter and Danny, hope you're well.
And of course Pat Garrett here on the station as well. He's a kind of the head honcho, so we kind of bow down.
You'll have to behave yourself.
Oh, you'd have, well you see, I can't say a word wrong, you see, while he's listening in because I could get in trouble.
I wouldn't even dream about it.
Yeah. And Ivana is listening in. She's our Polish representative, shall we say. She's our Polish presenter here on the station.
Right.
Ivana, yeah. And then we have JP as well, JP McNeilis. And so there's a load of listening.
Isn't that absolutely fantastic, Seamus?
Yeah.
I just hope everyone's keeping safe at this time. And, let's hope it's not too long till we can get back out again and bring music to the people.
Please God, hopefully very, very soon it'll happen, but it was great to have you on there, and I really enjoyed it. It's been a pleasure.
You've been very, very easy to talk to, and
thank you very much.
Been an absolute pleasure.
Oh, thank you very much. And I tell you, I just love the Scottish accent, and that just, it's so easy to listen.
Well, I'm afraid it's the only one I've got, Seamus. It's been an absolute pleasure talking with you, and as I said, I hope all your listeners are keeping well and keeping safe.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant, and and as I say, you keep up the great work there with that pen of yours, and of course that great voice of yours as well, Isla.
Thank you so much, May. I've just had a message in here to say that there's a Judy Marie Brazil listening to your show.
Oh, right.
And how she's enjoying it. She's from Newfoundland, and we go there quite often as well. So a big hello to Judy Marie, and I hope we see you soon, dear. I think it's maybe May next year we'll see you, May or June.
Wow. God, they're listening in from all over. You're a popular lady, Isla.
Well, it's people like you that gets us out there, so we're always grateful to the presenter, Seamus.
Oh, well, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Isla. And it's been great to have you on. And I've been waiting for a while now to get you on, and it's a great pleasure. It's a great pleasure.
And the same here, dear. And keep in touch, Seamus.
I definitely will.
Okay, my love. You take care.
Lovely. And thank you very much, Isla. And this is one of Isla's songs going to play out, and it's been great to have her on. Thank you, Isla.
Thanks, dear. God bless.
There's a storm brewing in our hearts tonight. Between you and I, there's nothing right. I've been hurting for so long. Many times I've wished that you were gone. Once again I feel the pain. Same old words repeating in my brain. All is wrong and nothing's right. There's a storm brewing in our hearts tonight. I hear the thunder in your voice. Lightning flashes in your eyes. All is wrong and nothing's right. Love we had is gone. I can't do nothing right for doing wrong. The plans we made are out of sight. There's a storm brewing in our hearts tonight. I hear the thunder in your voice. Lightning flashes in your eyes. All is wrong and nothing's right. There's a storm brewing in our hearts tonight. All
best in country and Irish music. This is your station, irishcountrymusicradio.com.